Hey, welcome back to my channel, Crafting with Cami. Today's layout is going to be a collaboration using the Make It From Your Heart Volume 6 book. Today we are on sketch number 6, pattern number 6. So here's some examples. They fit 6 photos on here. I love how they did the tearing on this one. The title and the journaling is all together on these. The sketchbooks give you the complete guide on how to cut your papers, what sizes to cut them. Everything is right there for you. It's like following a cookbook. I'm currently working on an 8x8 sketchbook, and I am documenting our van build. So this is the book I have started. This is our van. So I have just a few pictures that need to go into this book now. We haven't started on the building process yet, but we are doing little things to get ready for the build. So that is what we're documenting today. Since my scrapbook is an 8x8 and the sketch is for a 12x12, we will be shrinking the sketch. So we are going to convert that layout into an 8x8 page. These are the photos I'll be bringing in today. So I have this one of my husband sketching out the layout. We got some equipment for the build, and then we're taking measurements and making sure that we're ordering the right pieces and everything. So very exciting things happening. Since the layout did call for a 3x3 photo in that middle line, I am going to cut this one down to 3x3. It's actually just shy of 3 inches since my printer doesn't cut exactly 4x3. It was just a little shy, so I am going to make it square by taking that other side down to a little under 3 inches. So here's those measurements, just shy of 3 inches. So that one will go in the center like in the sketch, and then we'll have one up here and one down there. So we're actually taking the 6 photos that it calls for and just doing the 3. For my paper, I am bringing in the November-December mix-in papers. So these are pattern papers that are meant to coordinate with the November-December collections. I love this wood grain, and we have a couple different shades. This one is a charcoal and white pattern. We have some polka dots. And the brown is acorn. I love these. I'm going to get a lot of use out of them. I am planning on using these lighter shades today, just keeping this layout pretty simple since we have a lot of photos going on and I still need my title and journaling. For the title, I am bringing in my lowercase simple serif thin cuts. So I cut this pattern paper down to 7 inches squared so that I can have that 1/2 inch around the edges. And I'm okay with the photos hanging off of the pattern paper onto that white. My title is going to read Man of All Trades. He really is, from all the computer design work to the handiwork. I'm just bringing in the word trades to see how low I want the square picture. And I'm just moving my photos down so I can make room for that title. It is going to be a little bit larger. It's going to be a focal point for sure. I'm wanting to add some inking around the pattern paper, so I'm just bringing in some archival black ink. I'm just using my little foam dauber here and just lightly touching just the ends of the paper. I'm not going on the surface at all. And there we go. I am bringing in that polka dot pattern. I would like to tear my paper like what we saw in the sketchbook. So I brought my photos back in and realized I wanted to back them with some black. I realized that the pattern is charcoal, is a little bit lighter, but black coordinates well. So I'm just going to mat those. And then I do have some stamps that I'll bring in. This one says, "Enjoy the journey." This one up top says it's a beautiful day to go after your dreams. Otherwise, there's this strength. Strength doesn't come from what you can do, but from overcoming things you couldn't, which would work great for this layout, but that's pretty big to go on this page. There's adventure ahead, but that might go better once we actually start traveling in the van. And then, of course, we have our DIY stamps, the Nailed It. So I like that DIY one. We're not using a whole lot of tools in these pictures, so maybe not those this time. And then again, Adventures. And I don't know if I want those butterflies for The Best Is Yet to Come. And we're not taking Adventures yet, although the build is an adventure all on its own. So we'll see which stamps we end up bringing in. But I do think I want to matte these photos on black, so it'll have the white and black double matted. So I'm bringing in my Fiskars trimmer, and this photo, the square, did not have a white matte yet. So I'm just getting that added, and then we can go ahead and matte them all in black. I like to adhere my photo down to the black first with the desired amount around 2 of the edges, and then we will go ahead and do this other 4x3 as well. And then we'll bring in that Fiskar, and then we can just kind of eyeball it and make it the same on the other 2 ends. Same with this one. We can bring everything back in. I do play with the idea of overlapping this 3x3 photo onto the photos and kind of have it offset, but I'm not sure how close I want them together. We could do something like this, but that doesn't leave much room for my title. So I'm just bringing those letters back in, and I want to see where I can rip the page and put some of that polka dot pattern back behind. So I'm just laying that out, and I think once we get all here, I could slice it right there. And then I could bring one over there and down in the bottom right-hand corner, kind of like they did in that example piece. So I'm just going to use my scissors, and I'm going to cut through where I want that. I am thinking I'll roll this, so I'm grabbing a little paintbrush, and I'm just using the end of it, and I'm rolling it down. It adds kind of a cool look to it. So I'm wanting one in this bottom right corner here, and then in between the 2 3x4 photos. So I'm actually going to bring in my pencil and just make marks how far in I want those slices. So we'll go ahead and slice where I made those marks. And then we'll use that paintbrush and just roll those corners back. I'm liking how this is coming together. It's adding a little detail without taking away square footage for my photos. That is the problem with going in a smaller album, is you don't have as much room to put as many photos or embellishments. So I'm bringing this polka dot pattern, and I'll be putting that back behind. I know it just looks like white paper in the camera, but it does have little charcoal dots on it. And I'm just marking with my scissors here how far down I need to go to catch all of the open area. So I'm just cutting that little piece out of here. And then I'll cut some roughly the same length for the other 2 sections. All right, we're flipping this over, and I'm just adding adhesive right along where I made those cuts. And then we can go ahead and line this up. And then we'll go ahead and do that with the other 2 slits as well. Just adding those. It helps if you have it folded back first. And then add the adhesive. And then you'll add that piece of paper and just line it up with the edges. Perfect. And we'll do that with the other one. And there we have it. We have that pattern paper behind those 3 folds. So after playing around with that, I'm thinking maybe I don't want it rolled, and instead I want it creased. And I might want to add some foam tape behind it. So let's go ahead and pull some foam tape out. And then when it stuck to my finger, hold on, we'll go ahead and put it on the corner. And then it'll help just prop that up. So then it's a straight fold rather than the rolling I did with the paintbrush. I think I like that better. All right, let's bring those photos back in. So now with those folds, we can kind of tuck the photo under the fold, and they are popped up on that foam tape. This one's a little higher than what we had originally had it at, but I don't mind that. And then this one can be kind of down here, and that gives us plenty of room for the title. I'm going to bring that title back in, and I'm starting with the trades so that I know how low that can go. And then I will start with, because of that fold, the trades has to go under that. And then I'm actually thinking of all could be centered between man of. So I want the all as close to the fold as it can go. And I am liking that a lot better. I'll bring in my Barely Art glue. This glue has a nice precision tip, so for my small letters to adhere, it'll work really well. I won't have glue seeping out the edges. And I just need a little bit. It does dry rather quickly, so it's still good. I can move my letters back into place, but then it dries rather quickly, so I don't need to worry about bumping them and them shifting around on me. I am going to tape down that photo so that I know that's straight, and I can use that to help line up the word trades. Now that the photo's adhered, we can continue with the word trades, and we'll just use that photo to help us line these letters up. A little more about this album and these photos. So I have a whole album dedicated just to our van. So we purchased this van. It's just an empty shell, and we're completely making it into a camper. So my husband is in the photo, he's working on the layout, so where we're going to be putting our bed, the cabinets, refrigerator, and then he's going to be doing the electrical and everything all on his own, and the water plumbing. So it's a process. This isn't his everyday work, and it's taking a lot of learning and research, but he's a handyman and he enjoys doing all of that. So I am thankful that he's the one doing that, and I'm just documenting it and being the helper when I can. I'll just be the one to start planning all the trips while he's building our home on wheels. I just have a few more letters to it here, and then our title is finished. I'm bringing that sketchbook back in. So as you can see, they did their journaling right under the title, but I obviously don't have room for that, and it actually calls for it in one spot there. So I'm actually going to be bringing my journaling down to this section in between these two 3x4 photos. I'm bringing that love story stamp set back in, and I'm going to stamp the Enjoy the Journey stamp. And then I'm still playing with this idea as well. Let me go ahead and pull this one off. This one reads, "You can do anything," and that actually fits my journaling a little bit more than the Enjoy the Journey. That'll be a good one for the other photos when we're actually doing the renovating. So I'm bringing in my mist ink. This will match my title. I did that in mist cardstock. So we'll go ahead and I'm grabbing some scratch paper here. I haven't used this stamp yet. You saw me season it on my hand. We'll go ahead and do some trial runs. I do need to wipe off a little bit of my stamp. I got some on the sides, and we don't want that when we're stamping directly onto our layout. So I'm just practicing on this scratch paper, and that's actually looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and bring that up a little bit. I'm actually going to flip my Versamat over so I have that spongy side. Bring my layout back in. Your stamp comes out clearer if you use either the back of your Versamat, or each Close to My Heart stamp set does come with a piece of foam in it, so it helps the impression. And we're still looking good, so we're going to get that inked up one more time here, and we'll stamp directly onto our layout. You just want to press down straight and then give it a second to soak in. And that looks great. Let's go ahead and work on our journaling. While I was typing out my journaling, I actually added some faux stitching to all of these little slits that I had made. So I think that just adds a little more detail and it makes it look like they were stitched down after being cut. I'm bringing back in that DIY stamp set and I'm going to use this DIY here. This one does not come with the coordinating thin cut. The ones with that blue halo around the icon, that is what comes with the coordinating thin cut. Let's go ahead and flip our Versamat back over, and I'm just going to put this DIY on a block. Make sure it's straight on there. And I haven't used this one, so you see me seasoning it on my hand, just in case there's any manufacturing powder or anything. And then I'm going to use the light side of my mist cardstock and archival black ink. If you're not familiar with Close to My Heart's cardstock, it is two-toned. So the one side is the true color of the cardstock, and then the other side is a lighter version of that. So I'm just stamping on the light side. This is just a piece of scrap paper that I had cut the title out of. That turned out pretty good. I'm just going to clean up this stamp here. I'm going to fussy cut this out. All right, here's that little stamp that we fussy cut, and I did type out my journaling on Avery clear shipping labels. I'm just going to get that cut out. I don't want the text box around it, so I'm cutting on the inside of that line. I'm going to flip my Versamat back over, make sure that stays in frame for you here. There we go. Bring my layout back in. And this is where my journaling is going. And then I like this DIY here, and I think that kind of makes that visual triangle since I have the Man of All Trades in mist, that's in mist, and then the You Can Do Anything is stamped in mist. Might want to add a little more down to that bottom right hand corner, but I also don't want to make it too cluttered since this is a smaller layout. I'm just getting that journaling placed down. This is very sticky. Once you touch it to the paper, it is going down. And then you can just kind of rub it into the paper, and it makes the clear disappear into the paper, so it looks like you printed directly onto that pattern. I like allowing the pattern paper to show through my journaling when I can. I like this DIY embellishment up here by the journaling. It fits nicely between those words, but I could also bring it to the bottom right. But I kind of like having that triangle, that visual triangle. So I think I'm going to put it here. And looking at their embellishments, they have one in the bottom right, which I have that stamp. And they have a couple by the title and then also next to the other row of photos. So I kind of have that going on. I have a stamp in the bottom right. I have one by my journaling, and then I'm using my title as a focal point as well. I'm still playing with the idea of adding more embellishments down to this bottom right hand corner. So I'm grabbing that same DIY stamp set, and I have a hammer that I could bring down here. I just don't know. I know this doesn't need to be literal, but we weren't using hammers this day, and it just doesn't fit right. I'm afraid it'll look cluttered if I add too many embellishments. I could go there. But then I'd probably want to do it in mist, and it's getting really close to that DIY. So I think I'm just going to leave it as is. This is how it turned out. I like the small details, the polka dots, the faux stitching. I do enjoy how this page turned out, and it documents the process. Again, let's bring in that Make It From Your Heart Volume 6 book. This is our inspiration, pattern 6. And we took 6 photos, broke it down into 3. We shrunk a sketch. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see more sketches shrunk. And I will leave the playlist down in the description box so you can watch everybody else's videos. If you aren't already subscribed to my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And until next time, live a life worth scrapping. Bye, guys.